running for re-election because I feel I've acquired a lot of knowledge and information during my last 4 years on council. And I think that there's a lot more that I could contribute to changing or to improving or advancing over the next 4 years. It's there's so much that involved with being a city councillor that goes much beyond just understanding how municipal politics works, but then actually making those decisions. So I like to be able to contribute further. And although I think this past 4 years we've accomplished a lot, I still have some key items that I would like to advance.
Great question. One of the main reasons is being a lifelong resident of Kitchener, born here, raised here, living in Ward 9 for the majority of my life. Living more or less in the same neighborhood around Victoria Park, watching the neighborhood grow, develop and change. I've watched, families in the street where I lived grow up and raise their kids and move on, and new families move in and start there. And I went away for a short period of time, but came back because Kitchener for me is home. I've seen the city grow into a completely different place than I remember as a child, with festivals growing over the years and becoming much bigger events. I've watched, peoples from different parts of the world come here and settle and make it their own, and just enjoyed it as my own hometown in so many ways. I felt it was time to give back and really just kind of get involved this way, and hopefully local government is the place where I can make the most amount of difference.
I'm running for council because I saw the way that the homeless people in our area are treated, and I couldn't stand by and not do anything.
I'm running for council because I decided to, right now I own my own business, and I've decided to stop doing that because I don't really want to work in corporate anymore. I wanted to go back to my roots, which is nonprofit. And as a result, I did have a job last year where I was working in a not-for-profit, and my husband said it was the happiest he'd ever seen me in his life. And so when city council came up, he suggested that I run because it encompasses everything I like to do, helping people, etc.
Okay, so Ward 9 is a downtown ward, and the biggest items or issues that we're dealing with are affordable housing and development. So on the development side, there are, I think we need to be responsible in the way that we develop. I think we know we have a need for more housing, but how we create that housing is very important. I think we have a lot of studio apartments, one-bedroom apartments, but we need more family type housing. And also, when it comes to affordable housing, we have a thing called inclusionary zoning, which we have yet to implement, but that could help us address some of the affordable housing needs in the region and the city.
Key issue in my ward, I think that there's obviously more than one issue that's important to residents in the ward. One of the things that's come up again and again, speaking to people, is a question about affordability, about housing needs, and some of the impacts that have come from that. We've seen things like increased rents and housing and affordability, as well as social programs that have come with that. Sometimes there's been cases of crime rates. We've all seen the encampments and concerns around homelessness and housing insecurity. Affordability and livability, safety in those areas are obviously key elements that all kind of tie in together, along with the social aspects of it, and the affordability of it.
I think the number one thing is zoning laws. I think that our best bet for affordability and reducing homelessness is allowing 3-story buildings throughout the whole city, 3-story walk-ups and triplexes.
The biggest issue in the city, I feel, is the homeless issue and lack of affordable housing, and it's especially prevalent in Ward 9 due to Ward 9 being downtown. We have the group of people who are camping in Victoria Park right now, and they need housing. And I think that first and foremost, those people can't just be kicked out. They're human beings. Let's find them transitional housing until we can find them something permanent.
So as I said, inclusionary zoning is, for me, one of the biggest tools that we haven't actually implemented. It was put on hold as we waited for the regional official plan to be passed and updated. So that's already happened. And inclusionary zoning is a tool that gives us as a city, not the region, but the city municipalities themselves, the authority to determine, require a certain percentage of affordable housing units in every new residential building over a certain height. It also allows us to define what we mean by affordable. So in order to get it right, we have to be very clear on what that percentage will be. Some will say 5%. I would say let's go 20% or higher. So, but it is a tool that was gifted to us by the Wynne government. How many years ago was that? And it's yet to have been, we haven't yet adopted it. So that's one way that we can contribute.
Super important question, obviously, tying into the earlier point. Increased housing is absolutely a priority, and that housing has to have a mix, including affordability. I'm really in favor of smart development and infill and land usage. We've only got so much space in the ward. It's already reasonably dense, but there are some areas that could be used a little bit more intensely. We do have to be smart with intensification. Development isn't going away, and that need's always going to be there. But we do have to look towards usability, affordability, sustainability, and sort of a walkable and livable area when we're weighing the concepts and the considerations of these developments, and really need to look at what the needs are of the residents in the individual areas that would be affected by those type of developments.
Like my previous answer, I think allowing intensification to actually happen without having a whole bunch of rules and restrictions around it is number one. Many cities have had tremendous success doing stuff like that, and I think that we would as well.
Again, I think transitional housing is key. For example, the Grand River Transit building on Charles Street, I think that could easily and will not super expensively be used for transitional housing for those people on the streets. In the meantime, the city did research and had a committee work on this, and they presented their results 2 years ago, and nothing has really happened as far as I'm concerned. So first of all, let's start working on it instead of just putting together PowerPoint presentations.
Good question. We have a number of tools that we can use. In fact, one of the encampments, one of the bigger encampments is in my ward. As you say, the region has a responsibility, but the city can also play a role by working with the city or with the region to solve the problem. Some of the tools that the city has, as I mentioned already, is the inclusionary zoning piece. But we also have donated land to not-for-profits to build affordable housing. The YWCA build on Block Line is one of the properties that the city donated. We can also waive development charges for not-for-profit affordable housing builds. So those things are tools that the city has. In the meantime, with the encampments in Kitchener, we're working with the region to try to make sure that the people in the encampments have the services they need, and that they try to help the residents move on as they see fit.
I think that's an incredibly complex issue that would take far more than a minute to answer properly. Homeless and its concerns and insecurity in general, affordability in general, of course, are issues we're going to keep coming back to as they tie into all the different questions in the city and the wards and the region itself. There's a lot of different approaches that we have to take, smart development, making requirements and proper master plans and zoning for proper density and affordability as part of that mix, making sure that the space is usable and welcoming to all, transport needs and walkability in those areas, to sort of affect how the land can be used and make it more effective and proper density. And social issues need to come into it as well. When we're looking at social health and mental health issues, the city needs to cooperate with the region in whatever way makes sense, as well as local organizations, to really just make sure we're touching on all the points that affect those things and nothing is really just getting forgotten or swept under the rug.
I think our best bet is to make more better tent cities, and that can be by ourselves or through the region. But making sure that our homeless population is taken care of, I think is the best bet.
I think the region and the city should combine resources to find the funds to build affordable housing. Take some of the buildings that have been abandoned, that factories have shut down, and build affordable housing in those. Like you look at Bread and Roses Co-op on Queen Street. That was an old factory. They've turned it into cooperative housing. It could easily be done to several other buildings in the downtown core.
I guess the biggest amount of experience I bring is having been a city councillor for 4 years in a very interesting ward, downtown ward. I always try to read up on the issues before I speak. I try to come at them from a balanced perspective and a critical perspective as well. I am an academic by profession, and I know they're two different things. Being a politician and an academic are not the same, but there are things that do cross over and that I think are useful in my decision making at council.
Very good question. My experience has been limited primarily to my professional working world. As I said in the first question that I was asked here, I felt that after living in the city for this many years and being a big part of it, really enjoying everything the city has to offer, it was time to try to give back. And I thought one of the best ways that I could do that would be to involve myself in the decision-making process as a representative for the people that are my neighbors, the people that I grew up with, the people that I live around, that share the space and the experiences that I've had in this part of Kitchener in Ward 9. Really just lend an ear and a voice to both those things by being as involved as I can in my own neighborhood and the people around me, and then being involved in that aspect of consideration and deliberation at the city government level when choices are put before us and we need to make decisions that are going to positively and potentially detrimentally affect all the people in that region, and do the best we can with it.
My experience comes in the form of voice. The current council is made out of 100% landowners. They all own their own house. I'm a renter. I am in the queer community. I don't own a car. I use the bus all the time. I'm a dog owner. I have a voice that they don't necessarily have.
I have a varied background in broadcasting, radio. I did some television for a while. I know a lot of people in the community. I've been active volunteering in the community. I know a lot of people, and that's just how I am. And I think that will be helpful as far as my campaign is concerned, but also I think I can help get those people involved in other ways in building our community and helping with the homeless situation and anything else that needs help with.